Alright, the Nacirema tribal culture, when it comes to their body rituals, they see like they're very focused on their mouth, so much like dentists pretty much. They have a very gross way of brushing their teeth, but they do that, and they have private ways of cleaning their hair and cleaning their bodies. Like they do things differently, so no one really knows like how, like the set way they do things. It's just each person is considered private, so we know of like that they go in the room and that they bow down and like do some sort of like ritualistic prayer, and then they go to cleaning themselves and like different forms. Okay, as this goes on though, like if someone gets sick or severely ill or something happens to them and they feel like they need to see the medicine man, the medicine man of like their community, which is normally our version of a doctor or like a nurse, like seeing someone that understands things a little bit better. And they're the ones that like kind of make they would be the ones to diagnose what's going on with that person, regardless of what it could be. And then they write a prescription or a note to the herbalist or the pharmacist for us. And by doing this, like they end up, like they do the shorthand writing, which normal doctors do, but only their herbalist and pharmacist understand what the scribbling on the paper is. So that way no one else can take over. And over time, like if someone continues to have to go and see the medicine man, they at some point they will have to go to the temple, which is a very odd procedure. And it's normally for those who are very ill and need help, and it's very risky for them. And a lot of that is similar to like the American culture today. Like we have our doctors, we have our dentists, we have all of these things that are modernized and westernized versus the Nacremenes, their tribal rituals and stuff. So, but like when it comes to shorthand writing, like we all do it on a daily basis through a text message or an email, or even writing something on a note to remind ourselves to do things. So like all of that becomes different. It's different in the fact that each person has a different way of shorthanding, writing things and saying things. For most of the part, it's very generic, like it was with the Nacireme people. They had a generic, like, you brush your teeth with this, and you do this, you see the medicine man. But like for the American culture, when it comes to writing, like we all know like the text acronyms. Can't say that right, I'm sorry. And then like the stuff they teach you in school, like fanboy, for example, like their words and letters that go together that help us understand things in a faster way. So, and I feel like this probably has, well, it most likely has changed throughout the centuries and even the past 20 years, like 15 years ago, like everyone spoke very good, like proper grammar. Then it went to like very slang talking, just like writing. Everything used to be very grammatically put together and described well, and now it's very quick notes pretty much, or spark notes version of communication. And that can be seen very odd from an outsider who speaks another language or has never been in a Western like hemisphere or country for that fact. So for like someone who hasn't been like in a Western environment at all, if they went into a classroom of a teacher trying to teach kids like fast ways to remember math or words, like they would see these acronyms and shorthand writings and be very confused, because to them it could look like that's how we actually write words, that's actually how we talk. But in reality, it's a way of us quickly learning to do things in order to make our fast-paced lives faster and smoother, which can be a challenge at times. And we see all of these changes like throughout writing and like conversations. We watch a movie 10 years ago, it's 10 times different than it is today. everything is constantly changing, and the American culture and our communications and how we do things, that we end up like, we see the shorthand differences. We see how we've altered things without realizing it, because we are a country that's fast paced and we want to get things done faster. We want to get to wherever we're going 10 minutes earlier. Like, we're constantly on the go. So the fact that we do shorthand talking and shorthand writing, that makes sense because it's easier and faster for us. If you're anything like I am, you're highly impatient. So being able to write something shorthand besides writing out, it's like 10 extra letters, for example, shorthand something, it's much faster and it's easier, and if you understand what you wrote, then it's okay. Okay, but like our version, like if I read something I shorthanded, I would understand it. But if I went to someone else who is at like the same intellectual level, or like same type of handwriting, like very legible, if I don't know what they were doing at that moment and how they shorthand things, I'm not going to understand what they wrote. I can guess and probably get the guess right, which is what like we did reading the article about the Nacireme like tribal cultural rituals. Like, they were very odd and they didn't make sense to us, but as we read through it, we figured out what they were doing, even though it's not at all what we would say they're doing, because it looks kind of crazy. But like, we know that them going to the medicine man is going to the doctor, so us like shorthanding words like relationship, people tend to write relations because it takes off like 3 letters, but if you're like, it's very easy to do that because we know what we're talking about. So for them, that makes sense. And that's how it is in the American culture when it comes to conversations and shorthanding words and everything in that category. It has changed a lot over history, but it hasn't changed in the fact that each individual who shorthands things or does things a certain way, we understand what we're doing versus not having a clue, which is how someone from a different culture or background or language or whatever the case may be, them walking into an American culture reading stuff we have written, they'd be very confused and very standoffish, most likely, about how we do things. And this will be my understanding of the Nacre meanings, like understanding of their body rituals and like how their customs, and a similarity to how Americans' customs are with our shorthand writing and like shorthand talking and how we communicate it the best way, I guess. And if you can't tell, I don't like doing these videos, so that would be why there's a lot of ums and thinking. So you're welcome, and thank you for spending a few minutes and watching this.